was the recommended, the demolishment part of that was could reduce the cost by reducing the scope of the renovations down to a level where the project would be feasible or make sense. And that architect set out then, based on direction that was given by really a steering committee made up of members of the ABC board and members of the asset management board. Folks on the town council participated, the new town manager participated, and others in this project in an attempt to steer the architect in a way that would result in a building that was feasible for us. At the point that the architect finished the plans, we also had retained the services of a commercial contractor who worked closely with this architect in other commercial projects, and we regarded that contractor as being responsible and having the ability to give us a representative construction cost estimate for the new architectural plan renovation. And that contractor performed those services and gave us his estimate of cost, which was substantially more than we had anticipated it would be, or had hoped that it would be, in rejuvenating that project. A couple of the reasons as we got into the evaluation of why that was the case, it was obvious there were some changes in the scope of the renovation to include a couple of major items that were not a part of the prior scope of work for renovation. The majority of the additional cost or the major change was the recognition that there were substantial issues in subsurface drainage in and around the building and the parking lot for it, which would require, to correct that, some major civil site work that was added then to the cost of the project. Something else I think I recall hearing was that because of the length of time that had elapsed between when the building was purchased by the town and now, as the architect evaluated the building for his new design plan, none of the existing HVAC systems then were deemed to be recoverable or reusable. And so in the current cost estimate, there's two brand new HVAC units associated with the ABC portion of the building, and in the future there would need to be new HVAC units for other tenants in the building. So that's another major cost, and there may be other costs. I think the other recognition was in gutting the building, unfortunately, in an effort to try to save cost, we actually caused the renovation cost to be more than it needed to be, because as part of the demolition, we demolished assets of the building that could have been reused and wouldn't need to have been rebuilt and replaced. And so that's an unfortunate situation. I think I understand what caused that. We had a plan that said we were supposed to do that, and we had a manager that was thinking he was doing a good thing by jumping the gun a bit, not realizing really the implications of what was happening. And so, as this project then has been pieced together, and these estimates have been coming back to the town manager and shared with various of us on the town council and others, we again have had to rethink the viability of this project as it relates to this increase in our anticipated cost of the project. But I would say, as the town manager often reminds us, is that what we have is only an estimate, and the actual cost of the renovation will only be known when we have firm and hard contractor bids in our hands, which we don't have right now. We have one contractor's estimate. We had thought in a way to reduce the ultimate cost of this renovation project, that if we coupled it up with the renovation project that we are planning to conduct for the visitor center, to convert some of that space to restrooms, that maybe there would be some economies of scale or combination of the two projects. And that may be the case. We don't know at this point. And so not knowing, not having a firm bids in hand, I think we had a pretty lengthy discussion at our last council meeting, and I know Asset Management Board members are aware of this. We have decided at least to consider some other options. No decision has been made one way or the other whether or not we are going to proceed with the project as it's been planned and defined. That is to say, to go to bids and award a bid and go to construction and just simply follow through with the project as we'd envision it, to move the ABC store there. But we thought before we just plunge forward with that it would be a good idea to take at least a half a step backwards and look at a couple of other options that might make sense. And you know, and you probably have seen, everybody has seen some of the outputs there, the recommendations that we've asked Brad and others to follow up on in terms of doing a little bit of research and a little bit of kind of due diligence on those options. And, you know, they range anything from, you know, kind of maybe a further redo of some of the elements of the plans, you know, to cut back even further to even taking a look at properties that the town owns up in the NC9 corridor across from the Ingalls store. And the Ingalls store, the corporate management has also expressed some interest at the possibility of expanding on their footprint and has reached out to us expressing some interest of having our ABC store up there. And so I believe that's kind of where we are today. We have not as yet presented, as we're doing today, these alternatives to the ABC board. We did have this on the last town council agenda for general discussion. We reached consensus at that meeting that this plan made sense to go forward to look at some options. But the purpose of the meeting today is to now have a more detailed discussion with the ABC board members that are here, answer questions, you know, that may not be answered by my little background discussion. Shannon has a few slides just to further set the stage that he'd like to show, and then I'll understand Brad may take us through in a little more detail what I've just tried to explain in general. So with that, Commissioner Kilby, you are the board liaison, been the closest to all of this from our standpoint. Anything else you want to add or say in addition to what I've just went on and on about?
No, I think you covered it pretty well. You know, it's an unfortunate situation, I think, that that it's gotten to this point and taken this long. So hopefully we will be able to take all the facts that we have and come up with what's the best plan. And I always keep saying it's what's best for the citizens of the town and the money that we spend from the town's money. So I think I can assure the board that we'll give it the best look we can with their input and make the best decision, what's the best decision for the town in general.
Okay.
So that's the only thing I would add.
Okay. And then probably one last thing, Brad may bring it up too, and I because I think it was an important action that was taken. We had Bob Cameron, who's pretty experienced in this type of thing in this construction, take a very good look, a value engineering look at these, our latest version of architectural plans, and he's come up with a long list of things that he thinks we should probably, maybe take a look at going back to the architect about, and which could potentially reduce the cost of the project. No telling how much, but at least I think these are all things that are worth pursuing. So anyway, with that, Shannon, you want to take us forward?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. A confession, I didn't know a lot about ABC stores, some of the technical things about it, so I just have put together a real quick question and answer session. I have worked in other towns where we had ABC stores, but never was a part of one being formed. And so I just have some questions and some answers I just want to share with everyone, just to provide additional context. The sources, the answers to these questions come from basically three primary sources. One of the North Carolina General Statutes. The second is we had material sent to us from the North Carolina School of Government. And then also staff made a call to North Carolina ABC Commission, and we spoke specifically with Miss Sally Bonham, who is a permit specialist with North Carolina ABC Commission. So the first question we had is, how does an ABC store come into existence? A town has to hold referendum, from what we understand. And today, the standard basically says that there has to be at least 1,000 registered voters in the town where you hold this referendum. Certainly, there are towns that there weren't 1,000 when the ABC local board was created, but this must be a more recent standard. Approval of new store sites. Tony could probably tell you this, and Woody too, that basically the movement of a store has to be approved by the ABC Commission at the state level as well. And you basically have to show the site are not considered to be holding more